All right, let's keep it moving. Let's make some more picks. Let's talk about some top teams in the league going head to head. We've got San Diego Wave. They are ranked number 3 in the table right now after 4 weeks. They are going to take on a last place Orlando Pride. This one's kicking off on Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern. You can catch this one on CBS Sports Network. Lisa, is it just that simple at looking at records on the paper and saying one team is going to take this and one team is going to drop this?
Yeah, I mean, let's get the pleasantries out of the way. San Diego is going to win this game, right? Do you agree?
100%.
Okay, great. So now we can talk a little bit about why and
Yep.
what's going to happen and kind of where this is going. Yeah, I mean, looking at records right now, 3-1-0 for San Diego. And Orlando hasn't picked up a win. They haven't picked up a point. They've got 4 straight losses in this year. We saw Carly Nelson in goal make her debut for Orlando Pride. And I think that that's a player that we're going to see kind of solidify herself in between the sticks for Orlando. It was a good game for Nelson at Kansas City last weekend to get her first minutes. And I was pretty impressed with what we saw from her, despite the scoreline ultimately at the end of that Kansas City Orlando game. Because with that Orlando, they had that 2-0 loss to Kansas City, but Kansas City ended up getting their first win of the year. So there's like a little bit of disparity that you have to talk about between those two sides. However, when we're looking at Orlando Pride and the San Diego team, San Diego is just flying right now. Flying. They're coming off a 2-0 win over Angel City at Angel City. And now between these two sides, I mean, San Diego is just top 3 right now. They're at the top of the standings. They've only got 1 loss on the year. Yeah, they are doing a lot of things correctly with their front line, Jaden Shaw, Alex Morgan. They've been really impressive. Taylor Korniak, I think, has also been trying to find her groove. I think she finished the end of last year really high and really strong and has struggled to kind of find that consistency this year, but we're starting to see it from Taylor Korniak. Kaylin Sheridan, of course, in goal for San Diego has just been unstoppable. I could see this one also getting a bit blown open in terms of like score line. I could see San Diego racking away 2-3 goals in this game and just keeping a shutout against Orlando.
So multi-goal scoreline and a clean
Yeah.
sheet, in your
Yeah.
opinion,
Yeah.
for San Diego. Listen, I don't think that's far-fetched, and I don't think that's putting too much expectation on a team in just their second year of existence, who have already shown us that they are going to continue to build on what they produced just last year in their inaugural season. They're going to continue to go out there, compete, and probably remain contenders in the playoff picture for NWSL in 2023. I am a little curious, though, with San Diego being the hosts in this one, how Casey Stoney might maybe utilize that to her advantage. Like, this
Yeah.
is a game that's not, where a week that didn't hold a Challenge Cup game. They had a what would maybe be considered a regular or typical week of preparation for a game. And I'm curious as how if Casey Stoney might maybe look at the game in front of them and perhaps utilize this as an opportunity to maybe get some more looks at other players. We didn't see Jaden Shaw get the start in that match against Angel City. Maybe Jaden Shaw gets the start in this one against in Orlando Pride. We haven't seen their 15-year-old signing yet. We've seen a ton of minutes at this point. I think maybe not a ton, but we've seen a little bit more minutes from a player like Chloe Ricketts in Washington Spirit. But we necessarily haven't got to see that opportunity with Melanie Barcenas for the Wave. Is this a team that you maybe try to integrate some minutes in for this young player if at this point the game is put away? Let's say maybe they're
Right.
up
That's what I was going to say.
3-0.
That's what I was going to say. I think starting wise, we'll see very similar starting lineups to what we've seen traditionally. Morgan, Amir Ali, Colaprico. I really do. But I think that as the game goes on, we might get to see a bit more rotation from Casey Stoney playing players in different positions. Honestly, I could even see like giving a little bit of a break to some players along the back line just to give them a breather and also just to give some other players some minutes, because you don't want to be throwing a defender in there when you're going up against Portland Thorns in a couple weeks when you're dealing with injuries. So yes, I do think that this game for Casey Stoney is a chance to get rotation for her team.
Yeah, I'm trying to like speak it into existence. I guess I would like to see it. I
I
think
would
when
too.
we're talking about these top teams, one of the common threads between them is that they have these deep benches, right? Where they've got players that could be starters or bench players that could go ahead and find themselves in a starting lineup. And I think San Diego Wave is one of those teams. So yeah, I'd like to see Jaden Shaw get the start again against this one, and maybe if it's put away, we get to even see like their draft pick and Sierra Engen get into
Yeah.
there into the middle and see how she does against Orlando's midfield, right? And I think for Orlando, you just got to try to embrace this as the opportunity that it is in front of you. You're going
Mhm.
up against a top team. Try to put in a good shift. Try to put in a good performance. I mean, use it all as motivation if you can.
Yeah, and
You're
I think
looking at it as feeling like the underdogs in this one.
right, and for Seb Hines, I think they have to kind of focus in on certain areas of the pitch and what they're doing well. I mean, when you look back at Orlando's Kansas City game, they outshot Kansas City, but their shot selection wasn't fantastic, and their shots on target were 1, I believe, in that game, 1 to Kansas City's 5. So when they're getting these shots, can they actually make the most of these moments? If they're going to get a shot off and it's not the best opportunity, can you get one final pass in there and then look to get a look on goal and make those shots count, really force Kaylin Sheridan into uncomfortable situations? It's going to be really hard to get one past Sheridan. I already said I think it's going to be a shutout, but can Seb Hines and Orlando Pride use their opportunities to create quality chances on frame and limit San Diego in man up opportunities all over the pitch? Because that's what the Wave does really well. They get into these 2v1 pockets that just forces their opponents to look silly. So limit those man up opportunities and get good quality shots for Orlando. And despite the scoreline, I think they could look at those moments, depending how well they do them, as small wins for them moving throughout this year in a way to build towards the final.
I'm with you because speaking of uncomfortable moments, I'll just end on this. When Seb Hines took over Orlando Pride last year and they went up a couple times against San Diego, Hines and the Pride got the better of the
Yep.
Wave. And
Yep.
we'll just
Sure
leave it
did.
and we'll just leave it at that. Let's make another pick. We're both going Wave. We're both going Wave between Wave and Pride. We've got another top team to talk about though. We've got Portland Thorns taking on Angel City FC. I'm excited about this one. NWSL action after dark. Another one kicking off Saturday at this one at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. You can catch all the action on Paramount Plus. Julie Ertz putting in a shift with Angel City. When you look at this matchup, does that sway you any which way, Lisa? Do you have a clear winner? Do you have a clear loser in this one? Is the Ertz effect just too much that it shifts things for you?
The Ertz effect is incredibly effective. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. However, no, I'm gonna still go with Portland in this one. I'm just giving you guys all my picks right when we get out, right off the bat. I still think Portland's gonna win this game. However, with Julie Ertz in the mix, it definitely changes things, but not this early on. We saw the effect that Julie Ertz could give last week for Angel City going up against San Diego. She definitely caused an upset. She definitely created a stir in the midfield. Made it a bit difficult for San Diego to go centrally. However, they found their way around it. And I think when you look at this Portland side, they're a team that can problem solve on the fly. Incredibly, incredibly impressive. They've still got Sophia Smith, who floats all over the pitch, who can drop back and pick up the ball centrally, who can float wide, who can get in behind. And it's going to be a lot for Julie Ertz to handle. However, I don't think Ertz has had enough time with Angel City to be able to change their structure as effectively as I think we'll see from Angel City in maybe 2 or 3 weeks' time. That's when we're really going to see the Julie Ertz effect come into play and change things up for all of these teams, because Angel City, they're coming off that 0-2 loss to San Diego. They've got that bitter taste in their mouth. So I think we're going to see really good things from Angel City. This is one of like my biggest games of the weekend to watch, Portland against Angel City, because Portland's also coming off a 2-0 win. However, Portland keeps the ship rolling this week. I think they get another win over Angel City, and they just kind of keep cruising as they are. They're making it look really easy,
Yeah.
Sandra. Portland is just making it look so easy this year.
They are. Look, they're on top of the league table to start off this early stretch of the regular season. I think they're gonna roll into this second quarter of the season,
Yeah.
still leading the pack, honestly. Look, I gave some love to Trinity Rodman when we were previewing the Spirit as one of those early MVP candidates. I think you include Sophia Smith in that exact same conversation. I mean, she's the reigning 2022 NWSL MVP, and she has just rolled into this regular season, picking up exactly where she's left off. The entire Thorns attack, she's like the catalyst for it, essentially. If she's not scoring them in the back of the net, she is setting up her teammates. We've seen her deliver assists. This wonderful chemistry that we're seeing between midfielder Crystal Dunn and Sophia Smith, and a couple assists there. Now we saw her provide for Christine Sinclair. It's like if she's not serving them up, she's knocking them in, and it's just a ridiculous stretch of form for Smith to start this regular season. And that's just one player that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, Morgan Weaver has been a lot very, very active in this attacking line for the Thorns as well. I think this was a player, I think when we did our off-season previews, that you mentioned specifically, like you want to see that player
Yeah.
kind of take that next step in their development, kind of, be that role player for this team when it needs to happen. And we're starting to see that, I think, from her in the early weeks. And I just think that Portland have too many threats, whether it's on the offensive side or even the defensive side of things. We were just talking about celebrating Bella Bixby, getting to 20
Huge.
clean sheets, so whether it's at the front, of the pitch or the end of the pitch, they've got all these threats. They've got all these different options. And I think for Angel City, for all of the Earth's effect chatter that there is, that's one player that you're
Yeah.
talking about for Los Angeles. Whereas
No,
with
I do
Portland,
think
you're talking about them all.
I mean, I'm going to argue that with the Earth's effect, there's a ripple
Yeah.
effect that happens and a trickle down. We saw Savannah McCaskill elevate her game last
Oh,
week
yeah.
for Angel City, just playing in front of Earth. So there is an effect that's happening when Earth is on the pitch with what she's able to do in terms of like elevating the status of all the players around her, just creating different space for the players around her to occupy, because Earth does draw so many defenders. I mean, but you're right. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like in terms of Portland, when you need Morgan Weaver to go off and do great things, it's going to come from a player like Sophia Smith feeding her the ball. And each player for Portland can go off and have their own magical moments on the pitch. Whereas with Angel City, it does start with Ertz, and then the ripples go out and around from her. Give it a few weeks time, and Angel City is going to be a different team. It was a long game for them to get Julie Ertz. Same as like you look at some of the players that are still injured for them in the front line, Kristen Press, Sydney LaRue. Imagine getting all these players back. Angel City is going to be an entirely different team.
I hear you. We're going Wave. We're going Thorns. We're 2 for 2 again.
We are like all the same right now. It's
I'm
very
getting
dangerous.
nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I'm getting nervous when we start making those similar picks. I'm like, we're setting it up for some wild action over the weekend.